Do you remember the 80s and 90s? Back then, Miami Beach was one of the few places where a bartender, a nurse, or a student could feel rich for a weekend on a modest budget. You grabbed a last-minute flight, crammed into a basic room with friends, and did not care that the carpet was tired and the walls were thin. You walked out the back door, hit the boardwalk, and there it was. The beach, right in your face. Nobody at check-in cared what you earned. You brought a few $100s and Miami still handed you the ocean experience. The headlines make it sound like Miami is still booming, with record passenger counts at the airport, record cruise traffic, record luxury condo sales. On paper, Miami sounds untouchable, but when you walk the beach, you see the cracks. Between late 2023 and roughly 2026, something snapped. Big rooms vanished for whole seasons. An island resort goes dark. A cheap place to sleep in South Beach gets traded in for condos. One closure here, one demolition there. It feels like bad luck. Put them together, and it looks like a plan. This is not routine maintenance. This is a destroy and upgrade cycle. Owners are erasing legacy and mid-tier places so they can target a richer guest, a higher nightly rate, and more condo sales, even if it means full seasons of layoffs and wiping the affordable end of the Miami Beach experience off the map. So who is next? In the next few minutes, I am going to walk you through why 5 Miami Beach resorts on this coast are now facing closures. We are starting with the ones already under the knife and working our way toward the ones that still look alive on the surface. The Confidante Miami Beach. If you walked Collins Avenue in Mid-Beach a few years ago, you knew this tower. 339 rooms, oceanfront. Built in the 1940s, later branded as the Confidante under Hyatt. It was not the flashiest place on the Strip, but that was the point. It lived in that middle lane. Not cheap, not ultra-luxury. Families, friend groups, mid-level business retreats, people who wanted a real pool, direct beach access, and a fun vibe without the full South Beach insanity or the ultra-rich price tag. You had repeat guests who went every year. You had locals who knew the bartenders by name. It was the kind of property where you felt comfortable walking to the pool in a t-shirt that had seen better days. Then the numbers changed. In 2022, Sunstone Hotel investors bought the Confidante for around $232 million. That is a serious price for a middle-lane hotel. So you can guess what comes next. In March of 2024, Hyatt announces that the Confidante will close completely on March 25th. Not a partial, not a floor-by-floor renovation. Full shutdown. The phrase is comprehensive property-wide renovation and a rebrand into Andaz Miami Beach, targeted to reopen in the last quarter of 2024. When in reality, it stays dark longer. It does not reopen until May of 2025. Think about that. An entire mid-beach resort taken offline for more than a year. Pool empty. Restaurants closed. Staff told to ride out and hope they get rehired at the new version. What comes back is Andaz Miami Beach. First Andaz resort on the East Coast. Redesigned pool decks. Upgraded rooms. New food concepts. All marketed firmly to the luxury lifestyle crowd. Same ocean. Same basic structure. Different guest. If you loved the Confidante because it felt like a familiar, manageable slice of Miami, you now walk into something more curated, more expensive, less forgiving. That is not an accident. That is the goal. And this is why this hotel matters. It shows that in Miami, it is possible to take a big oceanfront asset completely out of play for a year or more, spend a ton of money on it, and bring it back aimed at a richer visitor without killing the market. Once owners see that you can pull that off in mid-beach, the next question is obvious. What else can we shut down or rebuild if the prize is a richer guest at the end? Now carry that logic out to a quieter place that does not have a dozen backup options. The Ritz-Carlton Key Biscayne. Key Biscayne has always been the calm cousin. You cross the Rickenbacker Causeway, and the noise of South Beach drops away. The Ritz-Carlton there, a 13-story beachfront resort opened in 2001, built its brand on that quiet. Families came for the wide, less crowded beach. Serious tennis players came for the courts. Locals booked staycations because it felt far enough away without needing a plane ticket. Restaurants like Lightkeepers and Cantina Beach picked up a mix of guests and island residents. It was the island's 5-star anchor. Then, early in 2025, the warning letters start. Under the federal notice rules, owner Gencom tells Florida officials the hotel will close in May of 2025 for a major renovation. Along with that, around 425 employees are told their jobs are ending as a result. Official language says the resort will be shut for at least 6 months, with a planned reopening around mid-December of 2025. Behind that, there is about $100 million of planned work. Guest rooms stripped and rebuilt, public spaces redone, restaurants refreshed. From a distance, it sounds great. New rooms, fresh spa, upgraded dining. Up close, it means this: the only full-scale 5-star resort on Key Biscayne goes dark for at least half a year, maybe more. Staff that held the place together for years are suddenly chasing other work. All the on-site restaurants and bars go quiet. The local businesses that count on guest traffic see a sudden drop. For Gencom, this is a capital project. Spend big now, raise rates later. The spreadsheet says that once the resort is back, the average daily rate can climb and profits will follow. For the island, it is something else. You lose a social hub, a major employer, and a symbol of the place all at once for an entire season. Have you ever gone back to a favorite spot on vacation and found a construction fence instead? Multiply that by an entire island. Again, and notice the pattern. Owners are willing to shut off a whole resort, lay off hundreds of workers, and take a season of pain in order to chase a richer future guest. If that is acceptable on a small barrier island, imagine how far they are willing to go on South Beach itself. Now we move to Royal Palm, South Beach, Miami. The corner of 15th Street and Collins is one of the front doors of South Beach. Royal Palm sits right there. 393 rooms, oceanfront, flying the Tribute Portfolio flag under Marriott, owned by Park Hotels and Resorts, a real estate trust. It has always been the workhorse. Big enough for conventions, close enough to the action. Not as flashy as some neighbors, but it gave families and slightly budget-conscious travelers a shot at an oceanfront address without pure luxury pricing. You could look out at the sand without being a millionaire. That matters. In February of 2025, Park tells the market it is about to flip the switch. A transformative renovation, roughly $100 million in spend. The plan is simple. Late spring, they start. By mid-May of 2025, operations are suspended. No more guests, no more check-ins. The hotel is completely out of service, not for a few months, for about 13 months. Every room is touched. All 393 existing keys get redone. 11 new rooms are created. Public areas, bars, restaurants, meeting spaces, all refreshed. In investor materials, Park even tells people to expect around $17 million of lost hotel profit in 2025 because of the closure. They are fine with that. Why? Because they expect the new version to double the earnings once it is stabilized. Ask yourself what kind of owner is willing to take a full year of a South Beach resort and just switch it off. One who believes the future nightly rate is worth more than the present guest. In this logic, the hotel is a machine. You unplug it, change the parts, and plug it back in when it can process a richer customer. Workers feel that in a very direct way. Housekeepers, front desk staff, restaurant servers all face a gap. The hotel that gave them regular shifts is a construction site. Some might get hired back. Some will not. Guests feel it too, even if they do not think about it in numbers. You go to book a somewhat reachable oceanfront room for spring break or early summer, and this entire option is gone from the map for at least one season. Again, let the middle get squeezed. When an owner will calmly shut a 300-plus room property for more than a year on one of the most valuable pieces of beach in the country, what do they do when they look at a site and decide a hotel itself is not even the best move? For that, you cross into downtown and out onto a man-made island, Mandarin Oriental, Miami, on Brickell Key. For about a quarter century, the Mandarin on Brickell Key played a different game. 300-plus rooms, 5-star service, a spa that locals swore by, and a bayfront view of the skyline. It was luxury, but a softer kind. Less chaos, more calm. Couples got married there. Business travelers hid there from the noise of the mainland. Locals booked anniversaries and big birthdays there because it felt special without being loud. Then the land value outgrew the hotel. By late 2024, it was clear. The Mandarin Oriental Miami would close in 2025 and then be demolished. Not phased, not half-closed, not slimmed down, removed. In its place, a 2-tower project built with Swire Properties. One tower will carry a new Mandarin Oriental hotel with around 121 keys. The other tower will hold about 228 branded residences, ultra-luxury condos with private club-style amenities. The name gives the game away. The residences at Mandarin Oriental, Miami. The focus slides from hotel guests to deed holders. Marketing chatter in the luxury world talks about units listed in the multi-million-dollar range. A penthouse pitched around $100 million. Brickell Key, which already feels like a glass island, gets even taller and richer. In April of 2025, staff are told the reality. Layoffs and closure tied to the redevelopment. The place that once functioned as a public-facing 5-star hotel becomes a construction site for something more exclusive. Think about what disappears here. That little path along the bay where anyone could stroll past the hotel. The idea that a local could save up for one special night or one weekend and get a full-service experience on Brickell Key. The open lobby and terrace that acted as a kind of informal living room for a lot of people. In the new vision, most of that land will belong to a much smaller circle. People who can buy multi-million-dollar apartments. Why sell one night at a time when you can sell an entire unit? That is the logic. And if even a place as high-end as the Mandarin can be erased and rebuilt as an even richer complex, what happens at the other end of the spectrum? What happens to the bottom rung? The cheap bunks, the party hostels, the emergency stopgaps where people with almost nothing still find a bed. For that, we have to talk about Bikini Hostel in South Beach. Bikini Hostel sat on West Avenue, a low-rise cluster around a courtyard. For years, it was classic backpacker territory. Cheap beds, loud nights, a bar on site, a courtyard that looked half broken and half alive. If you were young, broke, and determined to taste South Beach, there was a chance you ended up there. It was the opposite of polished. That was the appeal. Then the city's shelter system hit a crisis. In late 2023, after a contract with another shelter expired, but dozens of people were left with nowhere to go. As a stopgap, the city and the Miami-Dade Homeless Trust used Bikini Hostel as a homeless-friendly refuge. Overnight, the same bunks that once held tourists on bar crawls were holding people who had lost almost everything. It was messy. It was controversial. Neighbors complained. Public meetings got heated. But for a while, that courtyard was one of the very few places in South Beach where people sleeping rough could get indoors. At the same time, something else was moving quietly. Developers, including JDS Development Group together with Terra, were putting together a big plan for that whole Bay Garden Manor and West Avenue waterfront block. To make the numbers work, they wanted the Bikini Hostel parcel folded into the project. In July of 2025, it happens. The hostel closes. On July 31st, around 94 residents are moved to other shelters and programs. Reports put the purchase price for the Bikini Hostel site at roughly $20 million. Under the deal, JDS has 4 months from that date to close, relocate anyone still on site, and apply for a demolition permit. City Talk calls it a public benefit trade. The developer gets denser zoning for the larger project, and the hostel site is part of the deal. Plain language, one of the last truly cheap, chaotic places to sleep in South Beach, and one of the few recent refugees for people with no home, is being converted into a chip in a condo negotiation. In a few years, you will see glossy renderings. A new tower by the bay, happy couples on balconies, marketing lines about views and lifestyle. You will not see the courtyard, the cramped rooms. The people the city once moved there when there was nowhere else to send them. From a downfall Miami view, Bikini Hostel is the clearest signal. The bottom rung is not just ignored, it is actively cleared to make way for a higher yield plan. So line these 5 stories up. Different locations, different brands, same motion. Shut it down, clear it out, bring back something that serves a richer tier of visitor, or replace the hotel with condos altogether. The winners in that game are obvious: owners, investors, developers, and the future guests who can afford the new version. The losers are everyone who built memories in those older spaces and everyone who worked in them. If you have ever stayed at one of these places or worked there, you know exactly what I am talking about. You remember a lobby that felt human, a bartender who remembered your name, a room that was not perfect but felt possible. Now ask yourself, in 5 years, will there be many of those places left along this shoreline? Or will Miami Beach, Brickell Key, and the islands just be background sets for people who buy the top floors in cash? I am not saying Miami is over. The water is still there. The sky still looks insane at sunset. There will always be some fun and some chaos. What I am saying is that if you look at closures and rebuilds from 2024 to 2026, you can see the direction of travel. Less space for the middle, less space for the bottom, more focus on the richest slice. So next time you see a headline about a transformative renovation or a landmark redevelopment on the Miami waterfront, ask one question: who gets upgraded? And who gets quietly removed from the picture so that upgrade can happen? Thank you for watching. Hit the subscribe button and like the video to see more videos like this one. I'll see you in the next one.